T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi, my name is Doug. I'm the president of Guardians of the Purple Heart, and we are a 501c3 approved nonprofit organization based here in Southeastern Connecticut that specializes in obtaining items or services for Connecticut combat wounded veterans that aren't being met by other organizations like the VA. So what we like to think is where the VA or these other establishments have to leave off because of their corporate red tape and limitations, we can come in behind them and fulfill these needs by reaching out to the community, working with our vast network of supporters, and just coming together as a whole and supporting these Purple Heart recipients and improving their overall quality of life. A lot of people ask us how do they get involved and how do they join in on the fun with us. A lot of things you could do. Follow us on Facebook, #1, Instagram, Twitter. Go to our website at gotph.org. You can send donations, send us a message. Spread the word of what we're doing. All the Connecticut Purple Heart recipients, we are out there trying to make a difference in their lives. So please give us a hand and join in on the fun.
Bring your appetite down to Big Belly Cafe, 140 Gore Street, Webster, Mass. for curbside, takeout, and indoor seating. Visit bigbellycafe.com to view their hours, menu, and order online. For reservations, please call ahead at 508-949-2433. Follow Big Belly Cafe on Facebook for weekly and daily specials. And remember, all veterans receive a discount for their recognition of service. Big Belly Cafe. Reedy's Archery, located in Middleborough, Mass. at 121 Wood Street, has been a staple in the area since 1993 and has become the one-stop pro shop for competitive target archers and bow hunters from New England. Reedy's is open Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 10 p.m. to 4 p.m. Make sure to visit reedysarchery.com and follow them on Facebook to keep up with upcoming events. Archery, dedicated to the archer. Wolf Aviation Network is the only flight school in the area utilizing the Airwolf Simulator AATD and the specialized Part 61 training program designed to save students money while increasing safety and efficiency. Creating safe pilots is our first priority. Our flight sim is the perfect training device. It is designed to prepare students adequately before taking flight in our aircraft. Fly with us and save money. Wolf Aviation. Reserve your spot at 413-563-1929 and visit wolfaviationnetwork.com.
Can't believe you doing this alone. I remember you threw your back out holding up.
Hand me that board.
Nothing wrong with getting help. I did it when Felicia left.
I'll figure it out.
But you don't have to do it alone, that's all.
Promise to look into it. Will you drop it?
Now you need my help.
It can be a real pain sometimes.
If you or a port, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
That would be cool. Yeah. Let's do it.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Fubar Studios. I'm your host, Doug, and I've got a special guest here today with me. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but before we take it off and I hand it over to him, I just want to give all my sponsors and this year of 2024, it's going to be an absolutely amazing time that we're going to be having. We've got this summer, we've got the second year of kicking off with track day with the vets. And then it's where the what we call where racing meets freedom with the vets. And it's just going to be another amazing year. I'm looking forward to it this year with 2024, with it being a new year. And it's going to be a new me. It's going to be a new Fubar Studios, Veteran Reinforcement. We've got things going. We're going to be just blowing them out of the water. So without further ado, I'll let our guest, special guest here, Steve, and have him introduce himself.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah. Stephen Russell. I am a Army vet, did 10 years in the Army, 11 Bravo infantry, paratrooper, all that fun stuff. And currently, my day job is doing like office supply and logistics. And then I moonlight at night as a comic book artist and a writer.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. That's a big, look, comic book writer, all that. It's, dude, I remember when I was a kid and I had the comic books back then, and I can tell you the things that I read and had going on with it. Come on, it was definitely. I can even tell you, even with the silly putty that we used to get at Toys R Us, we used to wait for the comics on Sunday and used to put the silly putty straight to it just so it transfer right onto it.
Yeah. Or you even, what was it, the Pog machine?
Oh.
And now you got Spider-Man as a Pog and all that.
Oh, jeez, hell yeah. And then you got the Slammers and stuff like that. I tell my kids now, I'm like, do you remember Pogs? And they're like, what the hell are Pogs? I said, they were cardboard pieces with, usually they had there was cardboard with a picture on one side and nothing on the other, and then you got your Slammer. And I said, it's this heavy-duty damn thing, and you slam it down and hard as you can. And they're like, would that hurt somebody?
It's flat marbles.
Yeah. It's like, you keep going, you go and have fun. And I'm like, you go and take $1 and you can go get like a whole friggin' tube of them. You know?
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
I had the Pog, maker.
Yeah, I mean, again, back in the day, we had fun. This is stuff that we fucking enjoyed. You know?
Yeah.
Now you got this stuff. Come on. I mean, PS5, PS4. Shoot, we didn't have any of that stuff. I was.
You had to be creative.
Oh, absolutely. I was lucky that I even had I had an Atari, but that was when I was probably almost going into middle school.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing because technically being born, in 1985, I am supposed to be a part of the millennial generation, right? And people look at me and they say, they're talking about that, like, oh, you kids and your technology and all this, and I'm like, I have to remind people, like, I was a grown adult and I had already deployed to Iraq. And been through combat before the iPhone even came out. Like, I don't know this world that you say I grew up in.
No, absolutely. I mean, it was still at that time in the early 2000s. It was still just the flip phones, the razors, the Sidekick Slide.
Yeah.
Or the
And
Sidekick
I didn't even
Slide
have a
ID.
phone in the Army, like I didn't even have a cell phone. And it was just like, when I went back in, because I had two different active duty times. One was '04 to '08, and then I went back in active 2012 to 17.
Yeah.
And in between there, I was in the National Guard. And it was like, I went back in, and everybody's got to be on a phone roster, and you have to do this and that. And they were like, we need, to be in contact with everybody 24/7 and be able. And they were just like, well, how, by that time I'm a sergeant. They're like, Sergeant, well, how did, all this happen when, you were in the Army and you didn't have phones and all this shit? It was like, CQ did its job. It like went out and like had to go freaking find people and knock on your door, all this kind of stuff. And a lot of that stopped a lot of the bullshit too, because you're not going to have a CQ runner go like hunt down 200 people for a stupid formation at 8 o'clock at night because somebody got a wild hair up their ass. They're just going to be like, save it for the morning, sir. Like, stop it.
Absolutely. Now it's like, they just call you and say, yeah, get here to the CQ desk. You're doing this. It's like, wait, back then, no, that shit didn't happen. We stopped. That shit was stopped. It was, don't bother fucking calling me after 5 o'clock. But,
you had to read the blotter report, find out who was in jail overnight.
Yep. Or you know what? That was where it came down to when the top usually would get a phone call, and he would have to go pick up that nuisance, and you just you just made his fucking shit list for the rest of the probably evening and as well as the rest of the month. And he's gonna let you know it. It's,
absolutely.
That fucking hand just came right down and just boom, cut you right in half.
Oh yeah.
Again, it was those times, but even while you're at during basic training and stuff, you didn't have a cell phone.
No, absolutely not.
You had the damn payphone that you went and used. Yeah,
I was given a card. So when I showed up to 30th AG, we had no sort of contact with our family or anything. And the first time I got to contact my family was when I had gone to basic training. I went to my first unit. They lined us up in front of our barracks, and they made sure everybody had 50 cents for that payphone that was on the wall, and you were given an index card. And the only part of the index card you were able to improvise was your name, and you had to read line for line what was on that index card. And if you veered from that at all, they hung the phone up on you. It's just like...
And they even if you started to cry or something, it was like, is that part of the goddamn message? Boom, done.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, man. Nowadays, again, it's oh no, take your time. Oh, use your personal cell phone. You know what? You want a video?
Yeah, you're seeing them film videos and stuff and all kinds of crazy. It's like,
it's like, holy shit! Wait, what the hell is going on? You think?
And I don't remember the time. Like, I don't remember having the time. That was the thing. You were up before the sun, rose in the morning doing PT, and by the time you went to bed, it was dark outside again. And I was just like, when did we have time for any of this? Like,
and I still I get some of the times when I was remembering, it's like, even to go get chow out of the mess hall, it was a constant like, oh, you have to, the drill sergeant would like rehearse, tell me what the soldier's creed is. And if you screwed up somewhere, boom, back to the line. Go back to the end of the line. And then then you come up and now it's like, all right, what is your warrior's ethics? Okay, well, bam, you don't know. Or you don't say it loud enough to their standards.
Yes.
It's like, boom, gone. All right, now do 10 push-ups, or 20, whatever it is. It was like, oh, you can't do it, you're too tired. Oh, then you're too tired to eat.
Yeah. And then you get in there, and they timed us from the time we got in the chow hall till the time that you left, and you had 3 minutes from the time you grabbed your tray to like get out of that chow hall. So you're just sitting there like, ah!
We had it. Usually it was like sometimes it was timed. Sometimes it was soon as the last person sits down, or the first if there was the first person that got done eating wherever they were at, you were all done. And usually sometimes they didn't even sit everybody down until the last person got to the table, and then everybody sat, and then whoever finished first that's when everybody was done. It was like, take your damn time, take your fucking time, don't finish, And then they had kill zones in the DFAS. They had kill zones in the barracks, so you couldn't even go and walk in those areas. And if a drill sergeant sees your toe touch it, or you go near that area, he yells, IED, boom, you're dead.
we got it bad because one of our drill sergeants, he was going through a nasty divorce during basic training.
Which one doesn't go through a nasty divorce?
Well, so you might get lucky and maybe catch him like afterwards or right before. Yeah. No, we were in the middle of all the like bullshit that was going on, And so he set a cot up and he slept in the kill zone every night. And it was like, holy shit, like you can't wake this dude,
And you got and listen, it's you have it's like eight guys that are on fire watch that
with the lights.
I had a guy, I remember we used to take when we do fire watch, we would also have the last crew guys do the cleanup to make sure all the sinks are cleaned, all that stuff's all done, so it was done. Oh no, we had one guy come in, William Carbala. I kid you not, he would come in there and destroy the fucking place. And I'm like, are you shitting me, dude? Are you coming in here and shaving your eyebrows, trimming them down a little bit, just so you can have good looking eyebrows? And you just made this shit fucking look dirty? Oh man,
it was insane.
It was
I think
good too.
That's part of like my deal. I'm publishing a memoir about my first time in the Army and my deployment to Iraq, and I think I even like state in there, it was like basic training is so just like transformative in your life and just so crazy that like, I mean, you even look at Full Metal Jacket, they spend 45 minutes on basic training alone.
Yeah.
And that's just how crazy it is.
And that's just to give you just a little bit of insight to it.
Yeah.
It's not the full insight to it, because again, you have so much stuff that these drill sergeants put into it, that it's it's your first memory of when you first go into the military. And it's just that's how it is. Again, it's all different for different branches. I can tell you that,
and even time periods, like I went in 2004 and I got there like 6 months after the invasion in Iraq, right?
Yeah.
And it was at that point where they were like, we don't care about any bit of like your health, your mentality, like anything, your skill level, anything. You are here so that you can be a body bag to go down to Iraq. So I don't care if you like pass, fail, anything. We want as many of you out there on the front line as possible. And they told us all, they're like, there would be guys who were like, I quit. I can't do this. I want to quit and recycle. And they're like, you can quit in Iraq when you step on an IED. Have fun. And it's
yeah, no, it's so true. That's how a lot of them, like a lot of the guys I've talked to that got in around that time frame, it was they didn't care. They trained you to be able to defend yourself, defend others, but they at the bottom point, it was like, you're just another number. You're going in, and we're not gonna worry about your mental health at this point.
And like I remember that for the rest of my life. Like they gave me a helmet that had the number 444 on it. That was my number, and I was not allowed to like have a name until we had done the 9 weeks of basic training. And then they were like, "You finally earned the right to be a private." It's like,
yeah. And I remember those guys that when I went into basic with, and 3 of them were going from basic training to OCS. And
Oh, wow.
a lot of people were like, "The hell is OCS?" Don't worry, you'll find out. And as soon as we got done with basic training, these guys were given the rank of sergeant of E5, and these guys, they knew what they were going to, because as a person that's going to OCS would know what they're doing. But some of the guys that didn't even know what OCS even stood for. They didn't even know OCS was even something that was there. And they were like, some of the drill sergeants would look at them and say, "This is a day something that we're waiting to get, and you're going into it just fresh. You better not let that shit fucking drop." Because they're going in with guys that are going to be E9, that are E9s, E8s, stuff like that. This is an opportunity for them, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of them that I never knew what happened to the guys that did go into OCS. I never really followed up with them. I do keep in contact with only a select few people that I went to basic with, or I went to AIT with, as well as some other duty stations. I still talk to three of my first sergeants still. I call them up and I'm like, hey, what's going on, Top? What are you doing? I made a good impression with them. I think two of first sergeants I had, I made very bad decisions, and I made very bad impressions on. But again, that's why I was a private, and I mean, privates do private stuff, and we fuck around and we find out. That's what the whole goddamn fuck around and find out shit comes around. Because more you fuck around.
I'm definitely a Article 15 alumni, so it's it happens.
Oh, absolutely.
I think my first time in, I went E1 to E4 twice. It happens. You do stupid stuff, and you're an 18, 19. I mean, some guys are joining up, 17 years old. So, and the level of responsibility that you have, and the level of op tempo that's going on, and all these crazy things that you're doing, it's that on top of the fact that you're immature and have no idea what's going on, and you're just like, fuck it,
No, absolutely, and that's exactly what it is.
That's why I laugh. That's why I laugh so hard when people get crazy with the conspiracy theories and all that, and they're like, "Oh, the government's doing all this crazy shit," and I'm like, "You have no clue who's up there running shit." No. I mean, most of the time, the people that are in charge of things are barely functional and barely, have an idea of it themselves. And so 9 times out of 10, if something goes wrong, it's it's some sort of accident, it's some sort of incompetence or anything like that. But at the same time, if it goes right, it's because of accident or incompetence.
Absolutely, because sometimes a mission won't be finished unless there was an accident that then caused it to divert to go down another route, which then your convoy didn't get blown up because you went down this route. You went down another route, and now you got there. Okay, that's definitely when you realize you didn't take that route, and then another unit did go down that route and they got blown up because that they took that route. That's what you right there then would say, that was fucking FUBAR, because that would definitely be fucked up beyond all recognition, because that shit would have been me. And again, unfortunately, with being in the service, that shit happened. And it happened on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, minute-by-minute shit that it was ridiculous. But again, it was us versus them, and them versus us. Who's gonna be the one that's gonna pull the trigger? Who's gonna be the one that's gonna throw the grenade and it's gonna get and it sucks. That's where I tell people, it's like, people ask and they say, hey, how does it feel to be gone into a deployment area and had to do any of this? And how do you feel how do you feel that you came back? I said, I know I came back as an individual, but my mind and my body, physically, mentally, never came back. Because you feel more comfortable in that setting now, that you feel more comfortable there than you do feeling comfortable at home, because it's a feeling in your head.
Yeah. Well, I know, definitely when you look at things like the Iraq War, there were stages of things that were occurring, and you could see kind of like a cultural shift in the military that was occurring. When I first went in, all of my NCOs were old school, guys back from old Army, Gary Owen, Vietnam. Then, my first line supervisors, sergeants, and squad leaders had all been to like Panama, Grenada, things like that, out in the Baltics and Desert Storm. And then, your team leader, they had just gotten hot off the invasion, and Fallujah and stuff like that.
Yeah. No,
and it was that period up until like the surge, everything was pure chaos. There was not an adult in the room running the Army at the time, and everybody and anything flew. Everybody was, constantly adapting and just like coming up with crazy shit. And everybody was, on top of that, you had the civilian contractors out there running amok and going crazy. And, and it was just pure chaos and insanity. But that's part of what I write in the book, is that was the most free I ever felt in my entire life, was in a war zone, constantly locked down by the military. And, but at the same time, it was so freeing, because you're not worried about all this bullshit. You're not worried about like, oh man, did I make sure that the phone bill was paid? Did, rent's due this month, or this happened? Oh, I got to deal with this. And then we've got to go like to this person's birthday party and do this and make an appearance here. And no, it was just like, wake up. What's the mission? And, go from there. That's it,
Yeah, no, and that's basically how a lot of guys they talk about in the early years of the Iraq War. It was, it was everything. You would look at it and you'd be like, things weren't, the SOP wasn't as it was when I joined and all that. It was the SOP for which, if civilians are listening, it's SOP is just your standard operating procedures. It's just like a company, what's your procedure on how you handle certain things. Again, the SOP then was very broad, and it was open, and then you had those contractors, the mercenaries, whatever you want to call them. A lot of them were not bad, but then you had a handful of them that were off the wall. They didn't give a shit about anybody other than themselves.
Oh yeah, like I was over there for the Nasir Square incident with Blackwater, and it was like a well-known fact that these guys were like full-on shitbags in the AO. Half the time, they indiscriminately fired as they flew down streets. They didn't give a shit if, Blue 4 Op 4 was, anywhere near their operating area. And it was kind of like batter down the hatches if somebody alerted you that, they were coming through.
Yeah.
And so, everybody was like, disturbed and awestruck when like they hung those contractors up on the bridge and burned their bodies. But everybody who was in country, who lived out in Iraq and, was out in sector, it was like, yeah, we understand why they did it. Like, these guys are acting like total assholes out here. And so what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. They were technically maybe not those individuals themselves, but individuals, some of them were acting like assholes, and they were acting like murderers, where they just didn't give a fuck. and they said,
and on top of that, you had the contractors who do all the support stuff and then make all the tech and make all your gear and all that kind of stuff. And these guys were just fleecing the military and fleecing the government. And, you know, coming up with these products that half the time didn't even work. Some guy had a harebrained idea and he was like, hey, take this out in sector and go see if IED won't blow up, you know, like, here, take this and see if this will work for me. And if they did it, you know, they've got a multi-million-dollar contract with the government. And if it doesn't, they're just going to rehash it and, you know, do it over again. And I saw like all of this, like even all the support unit guys getting pulled out of their jobs. And they were like, you guys are going to do tower guard, all your cooks, all your, you know, laundry guys, all your quartermasters, and these guys, they're all now going to do tower guard. And the guys who are going to do actual jobs are these like military contractors that we're hiring and doing all this other. You're like, what? Like, we have people that can do those jobs, and they're like, yeah, nope, that's all contract work now.
Which then they changed all that shit around. They were pretty much, all right, now we're going to use contractors to fill the kitchen. We're going to have contractors that are going to, you know, be the laundry people. We're going to have these contractors. And then as well as they were like, as the years progressed, they started using the Iraqis people to then bringing them onto the base, which then they, you know, again, they got screened. They got patted down every day when they came in, and it may not just be one time, it might be 2 times. Again, it was whatever it was to be able to get them onto the FOBs and to be able to have them work on not on all the bases over there, but it was on some of them. And you know, it was after the time when the whole contractors for security, they were over there, Blackwater, Triple Canopy, SOC, you name it. It was, you know, those companies, and they were finally swapped out, and that's when they started using the local civilians there, that, you know, the Iraqis, as well as filling contractors for the cooking and all that stuff.
And if you wanted to do it when you got out, you have to go through like rigorous, you know, training and certifications and all these like background checks and all this other like crazy shit. And you're just like, what, you know, hey, what if I want to get on that gravy train? It's like, no, that's not for you. You were in the military. You're supposed to suck it up. You know?
No, it's, again, it was all, it was a lot of stuff, a lot of things changed, a lot of stuff took over, and again, there was a lot of the private sector that was this for security. They just, I kind of was glad that they started moving away from it. I know it takes jobs away from, you know, Americans that are private contractors, but unfortunately, Blackwater destroyed it for everybody. That killed it for everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still like in full force with, you know, all of the support units and all the things like that. You know, it was a big night and day for me when I got out in 2008 and I came back in 2012. And, you know, everything that was ran by the military was no longer ran by the military.
Yeah.
And you're talking everything from military base housing to, you know, the schools that were on base to your commissary. And it's like everything had to be owned by a company and ran by a corporation. And you're just like, well, this isn't the military anymore. Because used to, you had military people there. And maybe they didn't have the resources that they needed to do a job, or maybe, you know, they were undermanned, understaffed, or anything like that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they were a soldier, you know, they were a fellow soldier. And so you had that like respect and that like, you know, deal between you two. There's like, hey man, like I need to get out of my barracks and I've got orders. Like, what can we do here? Hey, if you go get a cleaning place to clean your barracks and give me a receipt, you know, I'll freaking just accept it and I'll sign off. I don't care. You know, like, all right, cool. Things like that. And, you know, when I finally left in 2017 in El Paso, Balfour Beatty tried to freaking charge me $7,800 to leave on both post housing for and like a big portion of it was like, they were like, oh, you don't have grass in your backyard in the desert and our sprinkler system broke and so your grass died, and now you owe us to re-sod that grass. I'm like, are you serious?
I know some of the stuff they try to charge you. It's like you're very dumbfounded. It's like, wait, I didn't even have blinds in my windows.
Yeah,
There was nothing there. What, you
yeah,
want to charge me for something that I didn't even get? The two
yeah,
people before me probably took it,
yeah.
or they destroyed them.
Or it was never in there to begin with.
Yeah, and you just
Like,
want to charge me for it.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and I remember some of the stuff. It was just I've heard horror stories on horror stories of things, and I'm like, dude, I wouldn't put up with that. And people,
Yeah, I was lucky. I did a pre-inspection before I left on that final one.
yeah,
And so when they tried to go nuts on me, I was like, no, your pre-inspector came in and identified 3 things. And that was it.
yeah,
And so I fixed these 3 things. And then they were like, well, since you got the pre-inspection, okay, we're going to have to, do something. I'm like, yeah.
yeah,
Like, I've already heard all this bullshit. I was ready for it.
yeah. I already
But-
knew you were gonna call me out on this bullshit because it was never even done before. So
Yeah.
don't tell me. Yeah, no. Tell me there's cockroaches. Wait, there's no cockroaches here. We're in Colorado. What are you talking about, cockroaches?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never even heard of cockroaches. It's like
Yeah.
wait, you are from the South, so you know what cockroaches are, but
Yeah.
that's right, you don't have any up here. That's right, we don't.
Those
have
and the
any.
silverfish and
Yeah.
yeah.
I get it. It's so crazy, and they used to nitpick even at little holes in the wall. It was like I used to take toothpaste and the white crest stuff. I would just fill the little hole that was like a size for a nail that hung a picture or something. I'm like, all right, I'm hanging that up there. All right, let me just cover that up, because then
Yeah.
they didn't see it. But if it came down to it, it's like a pain. I was like, wait, I spent 3 years at this duty station. Why am I paying for the repainting of this when I've been here for 3 years and it's really not really that much of a change? It's just because the building's got older. This is not a brand new house. What do you expect? This is a brick building that has a roof, but it's a friggin' flat roof. We're sitting over here at Fort Riley. What the hell what are you talking about?
Yeah. It's all sorts of insanity, and that like whole shindig is just completely like, when people talk about an over bloated military budget, that's what they're talking about. And it's not like the soldiers and their bonuses and the equipment that you're getting, a new Bradley or something like that. Like, it's never that. It's all these like just things that the military used to do on its own, and now it's outsourced to corporation after corporation, and that cost.
Do you want to know some more real crazy stuff now? They have over here in Mass, you can actually be a contractor that works on base, and you can live on base.
Oh, joy.
I'm like, what? You can live on base? What? Get out of here.
And that's probably because so many people deny on-post housing, because it's just so ridiculous. It's gotten, it's gotten to the point where that's one of the big crux points. Every time you try to PCS or ETS, they're trying to hit you. And, like I said, $7,800 they tried to hit me with a bill. And I was like, there is no way that you're going to get anywhere close to that out of me.
Yeah, and I mean, you're
Like,
not going
to guys who don't know.
They won't even do it. They would just take the money.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky. I was like, okay, I've lived outside the military. I've been in apartments. I understand what a lease is, and your deposit and all this other kind of stuff. And so, when they tried to hit, but people who didn't do that, they started their adult life in the military. They got married. They, lived on post, all these other kind of things. Yeah, these guys would just get fleeced left and right. And they'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, I ended up having to pay $5,000 to leave the housing thing. He's like, why didn't you talk to somebody?
Yeah. No, it's they didn't understand life because they just came out of being 18 and out of high school,
Yeah.
and they just took whatever the person said for, what it's worth, and that was it, and they went on with their day. It's
Yeah.
like- and that's why you are broke there, Private. You would just spent 5,000 just to get out of that, and
Yeah.
you didn't need to. Okay.
Yeah.
What else can another person con you out of? That's why there's people that are scamming people, because they are just as gullible. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I knew what a lease was. I knew what I needed to do. I knew things that I needed, and I'm like, just you're not gonna fool me. No.
Yeah.
And I then started choosing to live off base and doing my own thing. I didn't want to live on base. It was just that much easier, and I would get so much more in BAH that I would then keep. It'd be like $100-$200 extra that I would keep.
Yeah. The only place we didn't do it was when I was at Fort Bliss, El Paso. And that was because, when you started to look at the surrounding real estate that was available for you to rent, most of it was like condemned. And these places were like, we have amenities in our homes, like a freaking refrigerator. It was like, oh, a refrigerator is an amenity now? Like that should like automatically come in there. Oh, this house has a stove, but it doesn't have an oven. You're like, what the fuck?
Where the hell am I supposed to goddamn bake?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Oh, you don't even give a stove or even anything to bake? You got to have a hot plate?
And in the desert, when it gets up to 110 degrees, they don't have freaking central AC. They have these like swamp coolers and shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And I was like, it's just a year. We'll stay our year up here in El Paso. And I was like hoping that I would be able to re-enlist and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
We got through that year and there was like nothing available. And they were like, yep, you're gonna have to extend here in El Paso if you want to re-enlist and go somewhere. I was like, nope, I'm getting out. Like, this is done.
I get it, and I gotta ask. I mean, this is for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people have the same issue. It's normally the same issue when you ETS out. How much training do they give you on re-entering the civilian life?
It's since I've ETS twice, I will say the second time was a lot better than the first.
Yeah.
By a mile. When I got out in 2008, you literally, you got your discharge papers and they said, get the out of here. Like, you're not a soldier anymore. Turn in your ID card. Don't turn back. We don't care. Like, that was your deal, right?
Now it's
and they said,
it's usually just a couple days training nowadays.
Yeah, you get like the 3 days of the soldier for life, self-tab thing. But I mean, even then, it's not really congruent for what you're about to do, and it doesn't really set you up. They give you a lot of platitudes. They do a lot of things. But if the military really cared about your transition system, they would start a year before you got out of the military. And they would be like, okay, you're going to have to give a written record of everything that you did in the military, and we are going to certify you civilian-wise for everything that you did.
Yeah.
You think about it like, I mean, even at the smallest stuff, like when I got out of the military the first time in 2008 and I was in Texas and I'm going to college, I'm doing all that, I thought, oh, you know what? I'll just do a part-time armed security job, I go to my first armed security company and they were like, you're not qualified to hold a weapon in Texas. You don't have any of the proper certifications. You don't have any of the training. You can't do this. Yeah. And you can go do the minimum wage unarmed security job, but you can't do armed security. I was like, I just got back from Iraq. Like, how am I not certified? And I don't know if you have the same deal. Like, you got a CDL from your truck driving stuff, but like that was it just dumbfounded me. And, you know, medics and everybody across the board, you're not getting certified for what you do. And so when they're talking about veterans who are struggling and all this other kind of stuff, like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
You can't get out of the military and do the same job that you did in the military.
Yeah.
Like, instantly. You should be able to walk on and say, like, here, I am an infantryman, so I can walk on to any police station. I can walk on to any security, you know, place, or any, you know, gun range, be an instructor, anything like that. Right. Like, no problem.
They didn't do it when I got out. Again, it was like my CDL in the civilian world. My CDL in the military was the CDL for the military, but no, when you got out, I couldn't do anything with trucking. It's like, wait, I drove 42 wheelers. You're gonna tell me I can't drive this 18 wheeler over here? I bet you I can go through more Jersey barriers, weaving in and out, better than you can drive, and I can do it backwards and forwards.
Absolutely.
You want to tilt it to the side, and I'll go on just half the tires. I'll drive it halfway. I'll go that way too. You know.
Yeah.
No. It was the same. It was it didn't cross into it. So it was the way you looked at it. It was like you know you needed to go back to school and pay another $10,000 to go get your CDL license, which it wasn't a guaranteed. You still then had to go take another test with a statey, as well as you had to take a written test at the DMV RMV type deal. And it was like, wait, what the hell are you doing? You know, at that point in time, you would think, which I still think that the military can do better with it, you know, is to say, you know what, this is what you've been doing, and have where it's a liaison that would be able to say, okay, you have your CDL here in the military. Are you thinking about doing driving, you know, in the civilian world? Okay, yes. All right, so let's just take your license here. We have it all approved here by, you know, your truck master. Let's just go ahead and get you your CDL license for the civilian. And, let's also work on your resume. Let's get that boosted up. Let's do a little extra stuff and, do this stuff and be able to guide the veterans more as they moving on to other avenues in their life, because some guys may come in at 18 and they have no clue about the workforce as a civilian. And you just only know the military, and it's like, again, that's how some people are, is when they get out and then they re-enlist, a couple years later or 2 years later, because it happens. I've done it. My grandmother's brother, my grandmother's brother, which is my Uncle Dougie, who, God rest his soul, he just passed away, but he did it. He went from going and being in the Army, the Navy, then going into the opposite. It was in the Army, then went into the Navy, because he was a Huey helicopter pilot during Vietnam. And I'll tell you, again, it's, he got out and he was like, dude, I want to get back in, and he went back in. This time he went in into the Navy and did the stuff there. And again, it's like, they didn't guide you on what, stuff to do and how to do it, and, and try to get you to be able to do something outside the military that you're doing inside the military.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it mirrored a lot of like when I was getting out of high school, and they just pushed over and over college, go to college, and all these degrees nowadays are, most of them are 90% just worthless. Whatever you get, it doesn't, transfer over into the business world. And these days, where like me growing up, my dad was like, oh yeah, go get your degree and they'll start paying you more than I make. I see these guys with the degrees coming in and they don't know shit, and they're getting, 6 figures starting off. And now it's like, no, that whole lie is like gone now. And it was the same when I was getting out of the military that first time. They were like, yeah, just go to college, go to college. I don't care what you do, just go to college. Use that GI Bill. And, you know, the post 9/11 didn't kick in until after, I want to say, my first year in college. So I was starting off on the Montgomery GI Bill, and that was where they would just give you a set amount, and you had to figure it out yourself, you know. And a lot of that too completely like stopped the scope of what you could do, because you couldn't go to a state like private college. You couldn't go to a state public college and stuff like that. You had to go through the same ringer as everybody else, and now you're 4 years behind your entire peer group. And so you're like, okay, I got to go to community college. I got to like do this. You know, now the post 9/11, you can go up there and apply for a state public college. They immediately accept you. Your tuition's taken care of. Like, and that's cool. But most people who join, they didn't want to do college, you know, like most people went into the military. They're like, I don't want to do college. So why, when you get out of the military, would you want to do college again? Unless there's just something you're really passionate about, and you know, like your degree path and everything. You're like, I want to be an astrophysicist. Okay, well, yeah, you're going to need college, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be a freaking, you know, underwater firefighter. Got it. Like, you know, but
absolutely. It's again, it's back then it was I would say it was like a con that colleges told the, you know, trying to tell the older generation that was coming up, you know, or the, you know, the middle class people or whatever, our fathers, you know, we're being told, you know, go to college, you know, because they wanted the money, and not realizing they're not really making more money, and then still, nowadays it's still the same thing. It's, you can go and get a college degree, like you said, and it's not worth its weight, you know. My toilet paper is worth more in its weight than the college degree. It's sad.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
Me as a truck driver, I can make more money than the person who is working in an office building as, you know, doing accounting. I'm making more money than they would. You know, it's like, you know, are you went and got a college degree. You just wasted $40,000 or $60,000. Me, I didn't waste it, and I'm truck driving still, and I'm making damn good money from it.
Well, there's also this idea of, like, you know, I watched my dad. He was a Vietnam veteran, right? And he was in the Air Force. He just did, you know, like paperwork stuff, right? Nothing crazy, all that. But when he got out of Vietnam, even though there was this like cultural like backlash for veterans that were over in Vietnam, they were like getting spit on and trashed and stuff like that. When these guys went to the workforce, they were respected. You know, my dad started out doing like cable running out at Honeywell, just running lines and stuff like that. Then they find out, oh, you're a Vietnam vet. We're going to put you in a pipeline. And then, you know, within a year, he's a computer system software engineer, and he's working out at, you know, this kind of stuff. And they had like all of these things. They identified people like that. Oh, you're going to go in here. You're a military guy. You know, you served in Vietnam. Cool. We're going to fast track you over here and do this and that. And today it's the opposite. There's, you know, you'll see a yellow ribbon on every other car. You'll hear people be like, thank you for your service. But then when you're like, hey, can you like get me a job that can support myself and my family and make me a functioning member of society? They're like, ooh, yeah, about that. Like, we like the platitudes. We like doing the NFL flyovers, and we like doing the, you know, all these things that look good. But if it rubber needs to meet pavement, no.
It's that silentness that they will promote to make themselves look better and to sound better, but when it comes down to the bread and butter of it, when the asphalt meets the road, it doesn't make traction.
And you have these guys that get, you know, they just get stuck like that, and they're in that cycle and everything, and it's depressing. And I've been there. I was when I first got out, I was bouncing around from job to job. I'm like, the only thing that was keeping me stable was doing that college courses. But even then, I was like, I don't really want to do this college thing. I'm just doing it because, you know, it pays some bills and people are telling me to do it, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, by the end of it, I was working as an EMT. I got a paycheck for when I'd worked 96 hours for a full week, just like insane. And that paycheck was less than what I had made in the military as a specialist. And I was just like, at that point, I was like, I can't keep fighting, man. Like, I need to go back. I need to, like,
No.
what's going on?
What am I doing wrong to make this right? Because it's like, wait, I made more money when I was in, while I was a specialist. I'm making less money out here, and I'm doing, you know, as an EMT, and it's like, wait, where the hell did this go? Where am I going wrong? What am I doing wrong? You know, and it's again, nowadays it's I push even my kids. I'm like, trade school. Get a trade. Get yourself into plumbing. Get yourself into being an electrician. Get yourself into being, you know.
Oh, if you can weld, oh god.
Oh, absolutely. And again, that's I'm in the union, which again, you know, I know a lot of people are against it. I know a lot of people that are want the union, need the union. I'm all for the union, because again,
it's human, man. It's human. Everything has good and bad aspects. You know, I worked jobs next to union guys, like when I worked out of the Port of Texas City, and I was doing logistics out there, and all the guys who worked in the tank farm, since we had rail cars come in, they all had to be union, you know, and then they had to make sure that these guys made a decent amount of money because they worked right alongside the BNSF and UP rail union guys. So if you shortchange them, they're just going to walk right across the yard and go work for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that part was good. That part was really good. But you know, then you see the flip side where all of the surrounding contractors and companies that supported anything that happened in the Port of Texas City, they required them to be union, but they were only union in name only, just so that they could get those contracts and get these guys in. And most of their union reps would just be like, I'm just a mouthpiece. Like, I'm not going to take your shit and like really actually do anything. You know, like I work for the company, man, and he just gave me a new car, you know, and like, so, you know, I don't really care that you got shortchanged, you know, a few hours or whatever.
Yeah, like, that's basically how some of it does work, and it still does. And that's where it goes crazy. But again, it's you know, you got to also be on your own toes. So again, that's the military way of, you know, who's going to take care of you? The only person who's going to take care of you is yourself, and maybe, you know, your battle buddies that, you know, you served with.
Well, I mean, that's not really the military way, though. At least the way that I came into. You know, for me, when I came in, you know, and I heard this all the time, every single squad leader I had was like, "You're my issued property. I have to take care of you.
Yeah,
I'm responsible for you. The military gave you to me,
yeah.
and I have to turn in my equipment better than I received it. So you, when you leave me, are going to be a better human being when you leave me."
Yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely. It's the more when you get out into the civilian life, it's like you have to worry about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's just that's where it's at. But in the military, it's like, you know, each individual that's in that line, it was your section.
And that's sadly, like, that's gone away. You know, and I saw that my second time in, where, you know, that was the first time I ever had an NCO be like, well, you know, have you mapped out your career? Do you care? You know, like, you need to be focused on this because it's a career promotion thing and this and that.
Yeah.
And like, you need to be worried about like your presence and, you know, all this other kind of stuff. And it didn't really matter about like your job or, you know, like how competent you were. And I was just like, what is happening? Like, the military is becoming so corporatized and just so like just out there.
It's how some of them were brought in and they were started to be formed like, because they wanted them to. They wanted to have the NCOs to try to be more of a not just a role model, but they just wanted them to guide them along, not to take them underneath their wing and say, this is what I have to do. This is what you need to do. This is what I'm going to get you to, and I'm going to work with you to push you to get to that. Because when it comes time for me to go and move on, again, I've got to be able to then have you pretty much take over my spot, I've got to be able to move you on to your new spot to be able to be the same kind of person that I am.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was always, you're supposed to train 2 ranks down, and you should be able to move 2 ranks up and be competent, And that was the thing. Like, I came in, they used to have sergeant's time every Wednesday all across the military. I was in Korea, I was at Fort Hood. Every Wednesday was sergeant's time all the way across DOD. And they took that away. And they came up with this bullshit of like, well, a sergeant should be training his guys all the time. And it's like, get out of here, man. Like, we all know there's like tasks and duties and things and, And it's like, no, the whole military used to shut down every Wednesday. Sergeant's time. You're going to take your guys out and train. You're going to like do counseling. You're going to freaking, bond with these guys and try to build those relationships. Yeah. And it was always that 2 ranks above you took you out to do sergeant's time. And, I was like, oh man.
It was changing, and it changed. It kept changing, and it's still to this day, it's still changing. It's like, even look at the PT tests, what they're doing nowadays. I mean, really, you really need.
Yeah, there's like 30 events. Takes 3 hours to do. Just like,
if it takes 3 hours, it may be 3 days to do them all. It's like, do you really need to do that? Okay, if you're already doing your sit-ups and your push-ups and your run, you're already doing good. Most of the guys are going to go hit the gym anyways. I mean, and 9 out of 10 times, I can't tell you how many times I did not go to the gym. I was always going to the gym after.
Yeah, that was another cultural change. When I first went in, you were not allowed to go to the gym to do PT. Like, you had your 6 o'clock PT in the morning had to be formation PT with either your platoon sergeant. Like, your platoon sergeant might get the PT record from your squad leaders, and then they would go do their PT. But if they saw you in the gym, you were fucked. You were done.
See, it was some of it was where we were allowed to go into the gym, but not all the time. It was all depending on if it was a raining day, if it was icy out, because again, certain duty stations, the base would be closed.
Yeah, they'd black down the roads and all that. Yeah.
So then everybody was doing PT somewhere else at the usually at the company or whatnot.
Those were our only gym days, like in Korea, when they were like, oh, the roads are blacked out, iced out. You can't run on the road. You can't do this. It was like, all right, everybody has to go to the gym. Yeah. But for the most part, it was like, no, you are doing a training event, and you're doing that outside. It was like, and you have to be doing it in formation. You have to be, everything you did served a purpose. It wasn't just to be an asshole and be like, you guys can't go to the gym. It was, you guys have to build team cohesion. Yeah. You have to become a congruent unit. And this like new Army stuff is all about individuality. It's all about, this you space, me, I. Yeah. So it's crazy, but, and that's kind of like what I'm hoping. I wrote this memoir and about my time in, I'm hoping like people can like see that and kind of like get this understanding of, the military as a culture as it was like supposed to be. Yeah. And kind of like start seeing like where we went wrong,
Oh, absolutely. And that's, do you already have the name of the book or the memoir of it?
Yeah. So, it's called Troublemakers. the greatest dog and pony show in Iraq. And we all know, the dog and pony show, man. That was the big thing. And my platoon was called Troublemaker Platoon because everyone in the platoon had at least one Article 15. So you're already getting an idea of like the kind of people, that were over there doing this and that. And it was just complete insanity. And I'm not like an anti-war person or pro-war, I'm not like political and things like that. But there was an idea of like, okay, we had this period in American culture where, after 9/11, we wanted to have retribution on anybody, just because of what happened. And I think, a lot of people kind of, took advantage of that. Yeah. And especially talking about, the contractors and all of the like military industrial complex that got built up from that kind of stuff. And, and all of that anger just kind of got like funneled. And when we look at current events, a lot of these things that were happening in Iraq are the foundation pieces for things that are occurring nowadays. And so I think people need to like go back. We're, 20 years removed and like review this kind of stuff and look at it and say, hey, like, this is what we're kind of like culpable for as a nation, what we did. And, like a lot of it kind of like spurs on second and third order effects that are happening globally,
No, absolutely. And I mean, that's, I mean, one, I gotta say, I love the book. I love the book title. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. I can totally agree with the whole Article 15 and how that's explaining, how things are. One of them was the Night Stalkers. Again, because we prowled at night and to get crap. That's what it was. We had to get crap moved to fob to fob to fob, and that was it. That was what we did. But again, that's something that I'm even looking at writing a book, but I haven't even started to it. I don't know where I need to even start or where I need to end at. Some people tell me, well, you need to come up with a good ending before you can even come up with a beginning. I'm like,
no,
okay.
I mean, my book is it's 15 years in the making, and I was lucky enough that I've always had like an artistic and literary mind, and I journaled and things like that. So I had a lot of notes. Yeah. And the first thing I did when I got back from Iraq was I wrote down everything that I could remember. Yeah. And even then, some things were a little, off and sketchy and things like that. But I sat on that for like, I want to say 5 to 7 years, not writing anything, just, going about my life and doing things. And it was finally, when I picked it back up and looked at it, and then it was like, oh my God, like these things are here. And with anything else too, if you want to do something and be good at it, you've got to like flex those muscles every day. Yeah. So I'm a person that, I don't journal, but I will write like little short stories every day. I do things like I do sketch challenges and, get into traditional art and things like that. I'm building those things every day. And so if you make that and incorporate it into like a part of your lifestyle, then writing the book is the easy part because exactly, you're like, okay, I've flexed these muscles. And so today this is going to be my workout routine and this is how I'm going to go about it,
No, that's a good way to look at it, and I got to say, that's something I've got to look at. I kept journals of a lot of stuff. I have written things down. I haven't written it to the extent of every detail or stuff. Which, really, some details you never want to remember. You want to try to get rid of that. But I've got to. I know I want to. I'm looking at it. I don't know if I can do it, or even if I want to really even do it. Will it even be worth it for me to write it? It might be just so my kids can understand it as they get older and when they get old.
I really hang on to this word that my publisher, Ethan Casey at Blue Ear Books, used. He said, like, there's a moral imperative behind these stories.
Yeah.
And I know, especially in combat arms, like, we went through some shit. We had 12 guys die on my deployment. We had, at least double that get wounded to the point that, they don't function normally anymore. And our battalion took the most casualties during that surge, than any other unit. So it was some real shit. And I really have to be thankful every day that, like, the parts of me that, do have PTSD or do have, trauma, it didn't take away the part of me that is, like, extroverted and likes to, communicate and create and things like that.
Yeah.
And I see so many veterans who are, like, shut-ins and just closed out and don't want to, like, share these stories. And so there's, like, a moral imperative to, like, get these things out so that people will start to see it. People will start to understand, because when I look at it, when I first left the military in 2008 and I'm doing an interview, just at a wholesale retail boat store, right? I was going to be doing that for my first semester in college. And I go and I talk to the manager and I tell him everything, like 4 years in the military. I got a Purple Heart, I deployed for almost a year and a half in Iraq, all this, I was a team leader, blah, 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 and at the end of it, he's like, all you're telling me is that the only thing you have is a high school education. That's the only thing of value you told me, and then from there, it was a constant, like, reckoning of this, like, idea of work ethic and everything. Like, my first day on the job, I swept, I mopped, I cleaned up my area, I reorganized, like, all these shelves, and I did all this, like, crazy shit, right? And then he comes up to me and he's like, what have you done today? And I told him, I was like, hey man, I was out there picking up cigarette butts in the parking lot, making sure, everything looked nice. And he's like, yeah, but you didn't make me $1 today. It was like, oh, like, and you've got to, like, rework yourself into, like, what's important now and these kind of things. And I think if these people, America as a society and culture starts to see, like, this is what the average person went through downrange in Iraq. This is what the average person did in Afghanistan. Not like a special forces guy, not a crazy officer, Captain America, this, like, hero story. It's like, this is the bullshit that these guys had to do. And this is what they went through. And this is why a lot of them, maybe broke over it, but it's also why the ones who didn't are, like, exceptional human beings of endurance and just everything. These things need to get out and people need to see it,
Oh, absolutely. And I totally agree. And it's the only way to express it is for the individuals that have experienced it and tell the stories. It's not saying everybody needs to tell the stories. Others can tell it just to their families and spread the message that way. Talk about it at other events. Again, it will help others that do suffer from PTSD or that seclude themselves away from others because they feel like it's a burden to them that they have gone through this and they feel very, like, secluded. It's might be an out for them to be able to get themselves back out of that shell, to be able to be part of the society. It's all to each its own and everything. And I've got to say, it's definitely been a pleasure talking to you and seeing, getting your side of the point on a lot of the stuff. And I bet you we can probably talk for days on days. And
and
I mean, again, it's just sometimes it'd be reminiscent about a lot of the good stuff, bad stuff, and in between, and then just shooting the shit and just maybe getting off the goddamn topic and carrying on a conversation.
Heck yeah.
I would love to have you back on and talk some more on this. It's definitely interesting, and I gotta say, hopefully, when does the book, before we close this out, when is this book, and where can I get the pre-order this if I can?
Yes. So pre-orders aren't up yet. We're finalizing everything in January, and the pre-orders will be open in February. But it's going to be on the Blue Ear Books website.
Okay.
They have a veteran book list, and mine will be up there, and you can do the pre-order on that. And in the meantime, you can go by Global Comics, and you can see my publication, Tales of Nihilism. And that's another, story about an average guy who lives in a world of superheroes and just how bad it would suck.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I loved comics when I was growing up. I still love comics till this day. I can't tell you, I go to a lot of the comic store books, and I buy the old comic books.
Yeah.
I'll spend the $12 on an old comic book. Let me buy it.
Oh heck yeah, yeah. We offer print on demand. We just opened that up, so you can,
Nice.
click on the links on the Global Comics. It'll take you to the book, and you can actually buy a physical copy of that. And this year we're gearing up. We're going to be doing Veteran Comic Con this November out in San Francisco, and so I'm doing my call to action for any veteran small-owned businesses out there. I'd love to partner with you guys. We run ads in the publications for the conventions, and it would be amazing to show up to Veteran Comic Con, with that force of veterans behind you.
Is that East Los Angeles? East LA?
No, it's up in San Francisco.
Okay, so San Fran. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine that's down in East LA, and I kid you not, he might even be interested in something like that.
Oh heck yeah!
It'd be a couple hours up, but it'd be a whole lot quicker than me going all the way out to Cali and San Fran.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, definitely. All that information is going to be listed down below. So any of the viewers, please, you'll have the right down below. It's going to give you that. I'm going to have it pinned. So you can click on it, and I'll have links where it will get you over to these the spots to be able to look at this stuff, and then when it does come up to pre-order, it will also be down there, and I'll have links to that and sharing that out to everybody. But other than that, I want to definitely tell everybody, enjoy the 2024. 2023 went by quick. Now 2024 guarantee. I know it's going to go by quick too. So
oh yeah,
try to keep those New Year's resolutions going, and hopefully you haven't already stopped it. And because we're only day 5 into it, so
yeah.
I already know I already blew my resolution, so I'm already on the crap list. But
it's all good.
Until next time, I will catch everybody on the flip side. Keep it real, keep it 1,000, and keep it real. If not, real dumb, it's fine. Just don't fuck around and find out. All right, I'll let Beavis and Butthead take it over from now. See you later.
Shut up! Shut up!
Yeah, shut up!
You suck!
Stop, in the name of all that which does not suck.
Thanks for watching Fubar Studios Veteran Reinforcement. Please make sure to check out the Fubar Studios on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and visit the website at fubarstudio.com. Fubar Studios is a Sinista1 Productions.